The weekly Ohio State Buckeye Talk, cleveland.com tradition, outrageous predictions. Here we go. A season is starting on Saturday. Doug Lesmerises, Nathan Baird, Stephen Means. We usually do these standing outside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center or standing inside. Sometimes we like to look for interesting spots, interesting backgrounds. No interesting backgrounds, just three guys in separate rooms, but we're still making the outrageous predictions. Stephen, we'll start with you. Noon Saturday. Buckeyes, Cornhuskers, what you got?
I think Ohio State's going to get a shutout in this game. I think it's first game of the season, and they need to play a little bit of catch up and set a tone and catch up to what Alabama and Clemson have done in the first 4 and 5 weeks of their regular season. Obviously, there are some questions on the defensive end of the ball, but I think Adrian Martinez didn't show that growth last year as a quarterback that I think some people thought, including myself, thought he would show, especially in that Ohio State game in Nebraska. Now he comes back into Ohio Stadium. I think he'll struggle in this game. Wan'Dale Robinson's probably his best receiver, but I think Ohio State probably gets into some situations where, with Shaun Wade being their best corner and their most experienced corner, and it's early in the year, maybe he follows him. He makes him a non-factor into this game. And I think this defensive line probably shows some things that shows, okay, they can be similar to what that 2017 rotation was as far as their impact on the field. And obviously, I think the Ohio State offense is going to be singing like a bird. So I think my outrageous prediction is Ohio State gets a shutout on Saturday to start the season.
That is that's pretty outrageous, given how especially defenses have looked in college football. In terms of getting people's attention and that kind of thing, like if they get a shutout against Nebraska, that's going to get people's attention, given what other defenses have done so far this year.
It's a tone setter, especially they only had one last year, and it was against Cincinnati. And that's a hard thing to get shutouts because sometimes your second team in the second half can randomly give up a field goal or a touchdown. So I think Ohio State, because of what they've watched the teams they're being compared to do, and because they've seen how bad defense has been, what better way to get everybody's attention than to show, hey, I know those teams are struggling defensively, but we're not going to be one of those teams.
All right, that's pretty outrageous. Nathan, can you match that outrageousness?
Probably not quite as outrageous, but it's actually the flip side of what Steven's talking about. They're not going to get a shutout on Saturday. In fact, I think they're going to give up at least 21 points to Nebraska on Saturday. They only gave up 21 points on 5 occasions last year, and that included each of the last 3 games, Michigan, Wisconsin, Clemson. So 3 of the better teams that they played, obviously all season long. Nebraska is, I think last year was, even for as bad as Nebraska was last year, the way that Ohio State obliterated them last year was a bit of an anomaly. I believe that Adrian Martinez is going to be better this year. I think he was not healthy going into last year, and that followed him all last year. Wan'Dale Robinson also had injury problems last year. I think he will be healthier. Now, they aren't going to maybe move him around as much as they did last year, but that can actually potentially be a positive for him, depending on what kind of matchup they want to find for him as a receiver. This just is, I think we forget sometimes how easy last year's defense made it look at times. They were just that much talent at cornerback stacked up, that much talent coming off the edge every single play with Chase Young, that much talent on the interior defensive line where you had 3 fifth-year guys that were not just reliable, but good guys. I mean, productive players. We don't know who right now is like the number 3 option at defensive tackle who's going to be available on Saturday. It's very much up in the air. We don't yet. There's a lot of unsettled in that secondary. I'm not saying that Nebraska's going to be able to come out and put up so many points and so many yards that they can beat Ohio State, but I think they're going to be able to score and move the ball enough that Ohio State's going to have to win games more like 49-23, that kind of thing. I guess I'll save my official prediction for later. I'm just throwing that number out. I think you're going to see more wins like that than you are last year, where it might have been 48-7 at Nebraska.
We, of course, will have our game picks with a video like this on Friday. Interesting. Did you guys know that the new media guide's out, by the way? The new Ohio State media guide? Because I just was trying to look something up, and I went to the Ohio State website, and it's the 2020 media guide. It's the first time I've seen it because I've been looking at the 2019 media guide for 10 months. So awesome for Ohio State. My outrageous prediction is that Chris Olave has a 200-yard receiving game, which would be the 5th 200-yard receiving game in Ohio State history. He would join Terry Glenn, Santonio Holmes, Gary Williams, and David Boston. And I think that's because this is the new world, new passing game. Everybody's giving up points. I'm not expecting much from the black shirts in this one. And I think this is, we love you. We believe in you. We appreciate your back. We know that you worked your butt off this offseason. And we are going to show you Garrett Wilson getting a lot of love. That Steven Means guy, he loves Garrett Wilson. But Chris Olave, we are going to show you how important you are to us. And also, you're very good. And also, it's not a giveaway. This is a good way for Ohio State to move the ball. So I'm thinking like they take shots. I think you want to work that out a little bit now. You got a big one in week 2. This is your only like preseason game. No offense, Nebraska. Work it out. Let's take some shots. Let's see what Justin Fields has got going down the field. And in week 1, who's the guy to do that with? Maybe some Jamison Williams too. But how about Chris Olave? How about like 2 or 3 like 40-yard plus plays so that you can have like 9 receptions for 211 yards kind of thing. Like explosive, and it's wiped. That's it. Clemson's gone. You know why? Because you just blew up Nebraska the next time you got on the field. So I think there's some motivational stuff. I think there's some the way the offense works stuff. I think there's some put something in Penn State's head and test out yourself before you go to Happy Valley. And I think maybe Chris Olave starts off 2020 with a bang. Just like we did with our outrageous predictions. If you guys want to hear more stuff like this, make sure you listen to our Buckeye Talk podcast. We'll be back on Friday with our game picks. And this is us on video, not together, but on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this from cleveland.com.